Getting here with Gardening Simplified. It's June 30th and it's hot outside. My grow station here behind me is empty, but we're going to change that today. Today we're going to start planting some more seeds. And in this tray here I have some cilantro, and as you can see I plant a lot of seeds in a tray. A dozen or so in each tray. This makes it nice. Now you don't have to plant a 72 cell tray of seeds, but for me, I plant this much cilantro so I can harvest plenty for the market, and hopefully this batch will stay long enough that I can put some in the freezer. So we're going to get this planted. But what I wanted to talk about is, just because it's hot outside now, for us down here in the south, it gets pretty hot this time of year. Right now we're bumping 100. We're not quite there, but it looks like in a day or two we might be there. And a lot of stuff in the garden is suffering. We're trying to push it on through, but there's a lot of things that can be planted this time of year. And just because they say cilantro is a cold weather plant, yes, it's a lot easier in the cold weather. But if you can give it a little bit of shade and plenty of water, it'll do fine for a few weeks, maybe a month of harvesting. And if you're going to preserve it, if you vacuum pack it and freeze it, it stays real well as far as for most uses. Now, if you're trying to use it fresh, you got to have it fresh. That's the deal. Now, we do freeze dry a bunch. We've got plenty freeze dried on the shelf, but I like to make salsa throughout the year, so a lot of times I'll freeze some tomatoes and I'll freeze some cilantro, and that way I've got fresh salsa when it's out of season. Also, we're going to be planting around the watermelons. Our last watermelons didn't do too well. Now I put these in some water to soak just a little bit. I find they germinate a whole lot better for me. When I just plant them in the cell tray, even though I keep it moist, it seems like it takes them a long time to pop up. But we're going to get after this and get some things planted here. Okay, it's actually the next day. I planted some of these yesterday, and I added 2 more today. And now my grow station has quite a few plants under it starting. Now I always turn my lights on whenever I plant my seeds, so I don't have to worry about them not getting timed light before or right after they germinate. And in hot weather like this, once they start germinating, I move them outside. But we're going to go look at some other seeds we've started. This is the potato patch, and it doesn't look the same. We've actually changed our rows where they're running north and south. We had them running east and west, but the water situation, because the slope made the rows so long, and we were having a lot more erosion than what we wanted, so we've taken and changed the row direction, which won't make a difference for the crops. But we put out peas. We didn't plant very many peas early in the season. Now, when you're where it's warm, peas don't take a long time, so a couple of months. It depends on when your average first frost date is to what you can plant, and you need to take that in consideration. These have been about 5 days in here, and you can see I was going to come back and bury some of the seeds because they were exposed, and I was going to do it yesterday. Got too hot, had too many things going on. And that's the normal situation. Get busy this time of year with harvesting and stuff like that. So we took and come out here this morning. I was going to take care of it, and I had seen them putting roots yesterday, and I thought with our heat, because we've been up into the 90s, that it would dry the seeds out before they got the roots in. But as you can see, it wasn't the case. We put sweet corn in. We got a little experiment here going. These rows are roughly about 4 foot apart, but our corn is coming up. It's got good germination. I did come out here and cover a few kernels that were exposed, but all the ones that are in the ground, I was out here about an hour or so ago, and it looks like they've already grown some since then. Of course, that might be my imagination. But this experiment is, we have a row spacing about 4 foot, but on 4 of our rows, we figured, or I figured, that I needed to double row them, because the spacing on corn normally somewhere around 30 inches, 36 inches is normal spacing, get good pollination. And so I figured I could get more in here. I would ensure I'd get better pollination. Now, we did use the earthway planter, and it looks like a few places where we clogged up with some grass or something. We're going to have to do some heavy thinning, but most of it, it'll just be light thinning, take care of it. Those were zipper cream peas up there. These peas down here are purple hull peas on the rest of this. Now, we did set our sprinkler system up here to take care of making sure we got water, and this ground here is, you can kind of see a bit that the right here, this soil is kind of darker, and then it gets lighter on that side. When we did this, I'm not sure if it was last year, I think it was the year before, we took all our excess compost and we put it in here and turned it in. So this has more organic matter in it than that, but this is deep sugar sand. And what happens when you have deep sugar sand, and we didn't have a good amount of rain in a while. We got plenty of rain early. A lot of people's crops kind of drowned it out because of how they are, but ours did okay. But now that we've cut back, I think last week we got a 1/4 inch, which that doesn't do anything for it. But when I went to disc this or till this up with the tractor, it was really powdery, where it want to choke you while you're doing your tilling. So we put these sprinklers up, and we had to change the direction of them to fit the rows. And we watered it for 24 hours, and then we planted our seeds, and then we watered it overnight one more time. And we didn't water last night, and we'll water tomorrow overnight again. So we keep plenty of moisture in here while these seeds are getting set up. Like I say, the type of soil is going to depend on how much water you got. Now, peas will do good with minimal water. They're most varieties of your field peas, or a lot of people call them cow peas because they used to use them for cow feed. But most of your field peas are kind of drought tolerant. Now, the sweet corn is going to need water, and I tried to place it to where we figured it would get a good amount of water. We didn't make our rows too long, so we can kind of keep things cleaned up a little bit, especially on the edges. But this is another thing, when you start planting your crops, you can, especially when you're down south where we've got a longer growing season, you can put in a lot of these short season crops. Now, the sweet corn, it's about 70, 80 days, I think, on it. And so it should come in nice as far as on time before the first frost date. And like I say, everything is coming up good, which is great. Now, some of the seeds that I planted inside them growing up, I have watermelons now. It may turn out like last year. We'll get almost there and we'll get an early frost and kill the plants. But I encourage people, if you have the empty space and there's something that you want to grow and it is a little bit longer, give it a try. See what happens. Okay, it's the next day again. It's July 2nd. We got our Earthway planter. Now, all my seeds I don't plant inside. There's just some that I do better. But this is an easy process with the seeder. It's just a matter of put some seeds in it and roll down the row. Now, these are green beans, Blue Lake bush. I always grow bush. They produce quicker than pole beans because they don't have to climb up. And we always do a double row right here in the middle. Now, today, we got a little scob there from the flowers I took out. We're up here in the Victory Garden area. But just a matter of rolling down, having the right plate in there for beans. And that's it. It's just that easy. Now, it's really dry, even though we've been watering this spot. We give this regular water, not quite as long as the other, but anytime you're gardening, you want to keep that microbiology alive. But when I was talking about planting, and today it's going to be 99, and the next 2 days after the same, what the forecast is. And we'll keep these watered. We'll water them real well this morning, and we'll come back and water them again this evening or late afternoon until they get germinated. Then we'll keep them moist. But that's the key when you're growing in the heat, is to make sure that you keep them watered. And these about 60 days, I think, is the days to harvest. So a couple of months, we got a long enough time that we'll for sure get complete harvest off of this. Okay, it's another day. It's July 3rd, and you can see these are 4 days old, or 4 days since they've been put in there. This is my bok choy. We have a bunch of our cucumbers that are coming up. Once they start to pop the top, that's when I move them outside. Got a lot better success in not having problems with the seeds getting ate by ants or other soil-borne pests. So, and they're gonna stay good and moist because they were under a dome. But anyway, we're gonna move them out to the greenhouse. We're gonna take out these plants that did not get very well taken care of that's out here. A lot of them went to seed. There are a few that we're going to put in the ground, see how they do. But most of them are just going to go to seed, or they're not going to thrive. But anyway, this is where we're at. Our tomatoes are looking a little rough, and we're going to talk about growing some more tomatoes, taking suckers, and getting our second crop of tomato plants. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little video here. One thing I want to say is don't forget to save your seeds as you go along. We probably do just a seed saving video, but I always recommend, especially when your plants first start producing tomatoes such as that, if you'll get the seeds off that first fruit, chances are they're more true. You don't have a bunch of pollinators if you have multiple types or varieties out there. And if you haven't done that, well, take your time, start saving your seeds as you go along, and that way you'll ensure that you do have good seed for next year. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, of course, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all. Give it a big thumbs up and share this video. Enjoy that gardening experience.